Chiefs look good. Chiefs look like they found themselves against the Ravens last weekend. Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com, contributor for Sports Radio 810 in Kansas City as well, joins us now. He's in the locker room this afternoon as the Chiefs continue to prepare for their trip to Jacksonville. Good afternoon, Matt. Thanks for taking the time, and I'll just put the question to you. Are the Chiefs all the way back after that performance, that statement they made against Baltimore last weekend?
Yeah, I guess I've just lived too much of my life in the show-me state. I need to see a bit more, but that was a step in the right direction. And, they still have an opportunity to get better. I mean, they're going to get Rashee Rice back here in a couple of weeks, and arguably he is their best receiver. But I think you saw the impact of what Xavier Worthy returning healthy does for this offense. And that was, I think, Patrick Mahomes' best game in 3 years. So I think that speaks volumes about maybe where the Chiefs' offense is right now.
So what have you noticed? I mean, Matt, you were in the locker room earlier today. Is it a completely different vibe from a couple weeks ago? Or has it always, again, look, this is a team that's playing for the postseason. They're not going to get down in September with missing some pieces and some struggles on offense. But has that, like you said, best game in 3 years? Have you seen that impact inside the building and them feeling like that as well?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. There's a pretty sharp turnaround. And, and this is not a locker room that ever panics. So even being down 0-2, you didn't see that. But you saw, hey, there were the little conversations going on. And, even post-game, that was kind of the first thing that kind of stood out is, it's like, hey, there's a little group huddling over here trying to figure out what's going on and how to fix things. Maybe there's another group over here. Now, hey, winning solves all. And that's certainly what it feels like and has felt like this week, that this team just feels like a 180, that they've restored their confidence on both sides of the football. They feel like that they're getting back to who they are and that there really aren't any issues. So, no, I mean, it certainly feels like this team, like I said, I didn't get the sense that they fell very far being in the whole 0-2, probably just more of this anger at each other and themselves for feeling like everybody's just contributing a little bit to those losses. I don't know if the defense contributed a lot to those losses, but right now it just seems like everybody's back on the same page, though.
Yeah, let me keep it on the offensive side of the ball for just a second, Matt. You mentioned Rashee Rice will be back in a couple of weeks. They got Xavier Worthy back. And all of a sudden now, Pacheco got in the end zone last weekend as well. All of a sudden we go from where's Patrick Mahomes going to go with the football to, oh, okay, Patrick Mahomes has a number of places to spread the ball around to. What's the confidence level in that group of weapons now that he has the option to spread the ball around to, especially after what seemed like the growing chemistry with Tyquan Thornton, who I forgot to mention there?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I think he had 9 different players with receptions last week, and that's once again, I mean, that goes back to something that you saw more during the Tyreek Hill era when he was there, and you just saw what the speed of a player like that can stress and do in this offense and does to a defense. And it's not only that, but it's the offensive line as well that's given Mahomes the confidence to be able to go through his progressions, to look downfield and find these guys open and find where they are. And that hasn't always happened the last couple of years. I mean, because he's at times had one eye on the protection behind him and one eye downfield, and not even the best quarterbacks can thrive in that environment. So the fact that he's trusting his protection and he's now got some guys that he can elevate around him. I mean, I think that's the one thing. You see a guy like Tyquan Thornton didn't really, hit it off and didn't really succeed in New England, comes to Kansas City and seems to find the spot. There's a couple of guys in that category. I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster's bounced around, but always seems to find a home in Kansas City. Hollywood Brown, healthy, seems to be finding a home here too. So, you see that, hey, Patrick can continue to elevate the guys that are around him. I just think that he's always needed help from somewhere. I mean, if it's not from a Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce or just getting the protection of his offensive line, that's an essential part of it. And now you can see potentially with throwing a couple of weapons in there, like Rashee Rice, like Xavier Worthy, then it starts to feel like, okay, is this going to be the 2019 version of the Chiefs offense rather than the one we've seen the last couple of years?
Matt, if we look big picture, I mean, the Chargers are favored to win the AFC West right now, but they're taking some hits on the offensive line. They obviously have the win earlier in the season over the Chiefs, but the Chiefs are plus 145 to win the AFC West. I'm not really buying the Broncos as like a legitimate threat in the division. Would you consider this possibly as the time to buy the Chiefs to win the AFC West and get to the top of the division as we move forward there?
Yeah, I think if you're gonna do that, you better do it now, because I think it's just gonna get worse and worse odds. And it's not like this can't swing back. I mean, the Chiefs have got a few tough games ahead of them, so they may have a few more stumbles in them. It's not necessarily that that they're going to run the table and go 15-2, and I don't think that's the case at all. So maybe there's going to be maybe there'll continue to be some opportunities, but I think the Chiefs are the cream of the crop. I mean, I think they've got the best defense in the division. When Patrick Mahomes is playing well and has some help around him, he's got the best offense in the division. So I think that's just going to be tough. The Chargers, they got the win in Brazil, which was their home version of that game. They're going to have to come to Kansas City later in the season. But once the Chiefs really get past Buffalo and you get past that bye week, the Chiefs have a decent, favorable back end of the schedule. Now we'll see how some of those games look, like the Indianapolis Colts. There's a couple of teams in there that may be better than they looked on paper at the beginning of the season. But in general, the second half of the schedule is much more favorable than the first half. So if the Chargers are going to win this division, I feel like that they need to have a comfortable lead going into the bye week. And now we see it's down to a one-game lead at this point. I'm just not sure that's going to be the case.
Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com with us here inside the betting lines on the BetMGM network. You mentioned the defense earlier, giving them some problems early in the season. How confident are they in the secondary, especially with what they have at corner, Matt?
Yeah, that's the really amazing thing, because I thought that was going to certainly be potentially one of the weaknesses of this team, only because they've got some inconsistencies there. I mean, Trent McDuffie is one of the best in the league at what he does as a slot corner. They just really weren't sure what they had on the outside, but Jalen Watson has stepped up and been much more consistent than he has in the last couple of years, and they've gotten some incredible play in limited work from Noel Williams, third-day draft pick this year that has got good size and so far has been really effective against big receivers and especially downfield. He had a couple of pass breakups against the Eagles, against A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith that, could have helped the Chiefs win that game and certainly helped keep the score of that game within reach for the Chiefs offense. But they're getting really good play from their safeties as well, and that's the group that they're probably leaning on the most, even though I think they're certainly missing having Justin Reed back there and his experience. They've got four young guys that they really like and really count on. Brian Cook, Jamari Conner are playing really well. Jalen Hicks looks like he is becoming his own kind of a standout player. They trust him a lot. So if they can continue to get solid play from those young corners, they've got probably Nazeeh Johnson and Christian Fulton who are going to be coming back here in the next couple of weeks. Inconsistency could still be what keeps that secondary from rising up, but right now it's a young group that is playing really well together.
The Ravens game was a higher scoring game, Matt, but that Eagles game you mentioned, that was a lower scoring game. If we look to Monday night, the total was 45.5. Jacksonville also sporting a pretty good defense that has used turnovers, creating a lot of turnovers to their advantage. How do you see Monday night's game playing out? As I've said earlier in the show, it's tough for me to envision Jacksonville coming out of here with a win, but they're a 3.5-point dog at home, total 45.5. How do you see Monday's game playing out?
Yeah, as well as the Chiefs' defense has been playing, I have a hard time visualizing the Jaguars' offense really getting anything sustained, because that hasn't been how they're winning games. They're obviously winning games defensively and creating turnovers. If the Jacksonville offense, if they can get a couple of big plays, they can avoid turnovers themselves. Maybe they can surprise the Chiefs, but I think that they're going to have to play nearly a perfect game to do that. On the other side, if the Chiefs offense that we saw last week against the Ravens and really the second half against the Giants too, let's bring that one into the conversation. If you see that same Chiefs offense for a third game in a row, then yes, they can put up some points. And and that Ravens game last week was also the first time we've really seen the Chiefs offense put anybody away in a long time. So if that mentality in this offense is back as well, they're not going to hold back. So this is the Chiefs team that's played a lot of close games the last couple of years. They're capable of not playing close games and pulling away. They've also only turned the ball over once this year so far. That's not real favorable for Jacksonville defense that really thrives on creating turnovers, and it has been a little bit of a bend don't break outside of the turnovers. So I think the Chiefs pull this one off. I feel like it's in the ballpark of 30-17 Kansas City.
You mentioned earlier, Matt, nobody's going to sit there and pencil in the Chiefs for 15-2 because they looked as good as they did against the Ravens. But just what is the general outlook and the consensus among fans about what the long-term outlook is this season, knowing that the Bills are the clear-cut favorite in the AFC, knowing that it might require another trip to Orchard Park to get through and get back to the Super Bowl? What is how much scoreboard watching, I guess, is going on in Kansas City every time the Bills are playing?
Oh, there's definitely going to be some, and I think to a certain degree there's even a little bit of inevitability that Chiefs fans have accepted with Buffalo being off to the 4-0 start and having a bit of a lead on the Chiefs, because the Chiefs typically don't beat Buffalo during the regular season, and especially on the road at Buffalo. So there's another game in hand that the Buffalo may very well end up with. And, having a 3-game advantage and the tiebreaker would be just about impossible for the Chiefs to overcome. But Chiefs fans don't worry about that because they feel like that they have Josh Allen and Buffalo's number in the postseason. So they're not too concerned about that. I think there's a little bit probably more concern about the Chargers and the Broncos in the division because, like I said, as much as there is an inevitability that the Bills beat Kansas City in the regular season, it's the exact opposite in the playoffs.
And I mean, you kind of answered this a little bit about the division, but like when you get to the postseason, and they obviously feel, at least mentally, they've got the edge on the Bills. I mean, you look around the AFC. Is it just kind of the Bills? And that's like, even though you feel like you got the edge over them, is there anyone else in the AFC that's even like, this could be a stumbling block in the playoffs? Because, I mean, me looking at the standings in the conference right now, it's tough for me to see anything like that.
Yeah, and it's hard to see Cincinnati coming back without Joe Burrow if he's not going to be back this season. Baltimore, you still wouldn't think that they're underwater at 1-3, but with Lamar dinged up, that could get even worse. And there are teams that, hey, if they just make the playoffs, you're going to be worried about them. But outside of that, you're right. I mean, it's even amongst the 3-1 teams, how much are you scared about them with Pittsburgh and Indianapolis, Jacksonville? There's still a lot of questions there with all three of those teams. Pittsburgh's probably the one that worries me the most because I respect the heck out of Mike Tomlin. He's a really good coach, and if he ever gets quarterback play, he can just be a really dangerous coach and have a really dangerous team. So that might be the one that I watch. But you know what? I mean, I also, having covered Chris Ballard in Kansas City as the general manager of the Colts, I know that also is a team that has got a lot of talent that has just needed consistent quarterback play. And if they get it, I mean, Indianapolis has the 53 that can probably compete. But once again, it just always has come down to that one position, the quarterback, that's the difference maker.
Matt, we appreciate the time, man. Thanks for making some for us. We look forward to Monday night in Jacksonville, and we'll touch base again later on down the line. Thanks again.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys. Take care.
Absolutely. Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com, also a contributor for Sports Radio 810 in Kansas City.